David is a middle-aged man who lives a simple life in a small town where he returned after the death of his wife, Emily. Before that, he and Emily had a happy life in the big city, where they built dreams and created happiness together. However, when Emily passed away due to a terminal illness, David could not bear the pain and decided to leave the city, returning to his hometown, where there were sweet memories and old friends. David's life in the small town is not easy. He has to work 2 jobs to make ends meet, a day job at a factory and a night job at KFC. Every day, David wakes up early, works hard, and sometimes doesn't have enough time to rest. His life is a series of long, tiring days, but he still feels fortunate to have a roof over his head and a job to support himself. Despite the difficult life, David always holds on to a dream. When he was younger, he had dreamed of opening a fashion store, a place not only to sell clothes, but also a space where he could share his passion with others. However, due to financial constraints, that dream could only exist in his thoughts and memories. During his years living in the city, David had imagined a bright future with his store, but now he must face the reality that that dream seems almost impossible to come true. One rainy night, as he was driving back from his night shift at KFC, David noticed a woman standing by the road. She seemed to be having trouble alone in the rain with no way to get around. David looked at her car and noticed there was nothing he could do to help, but he couldn't leave her there. Although the streets were very empty at that time, he decided to stop and ask if she needed assistance. The woman, named Lena, smiled and thanked him, saying that her car had broken down. She was trying to find help, but the roads were empty and no one could stop to assist her. David, though feeling worried, did not hesitate to invite her into his car and promised to take her to a safe place. This encounter seemed unremarkable, just a simple act of help, but for Lena, it could be a life-changing moment. During the short journey, they talked about life. David shared the pain of losing his beloved wife and the loneliness over the years. Lena listened, sympathized, and comforted him, making him feel lighter than ever. This simple meeting would open a new chapter in David's life, one that he never expected. David continued to drive through the rain, occasionally glancing in the rearview mirror to make sure Lena was still okay after the long journey. The rain was so heavy that no one could see clearly ahead, and the streets were very empty, with no one walking around. It felt as if the entire world consisted only of him and a stranger sitting beside him. "Aren't you afraid, being alone in the rain like this?" David asked, trying to break the silence. Lena smiled faintly. "I am, but I don't have many choices. My car broke down and I need to find help." David nodded, feeling sympathy for the young woman. She seemed lost, but still kept her calm and composure. When he saw her sitting quietly, gently waiting, he couldn't help but think about the early days when he and Emily began their life together. Everything was so beautiful, so simple and full of hope. But then everything changed too quickly. Remembering the long nights with Emily, their conversations about the future, his heart tightened. "This is one of my wife's favorite songs," David said, pressing the radio button. A soft song played, and memories came flooding back. Lena listened quietly, sensing the sadness in David's voice. "She must have been a wonderful person." "Yes, she was amazing," David sighed. "We had so many happy years together, but then she passed away. Even now, I still can't accept it." Lena felt heartbroken for David's story. Gently, she placed her hand on his shoulder as a way of showing empathy. "I understand the feeling of losing a loved one, and I know that even though time passes, the pain will always stay. But I believe she's somewhere, watching over you from above and loving you forever." David felt a little relief, as though someone truly understood the pain he had been enduring. Lena continued to sit quietly, occasionally glancing out the window, giving David a space to reflect and reminisce about the past. "You know," David continued, Before I lost Sophie, I had a big dream. I wanted to open a fashion store. But life didn't allow me to do that. Now all that's left are dreams that never came true." Lena looked at him with gentle eyes. "Maybe you don't realize it, but sometimes the things we let go of are the motivation to start over. Don't give up, David. Sometimes dreams will come to us in ways we never expected." Lena's words were like a glimmer of light in the dark. David realized that he couldn't keep living in the past. Though he had lost his beloved wife, he still had a future ahead of him, and maybe if he gave himself a chance, that dream wouldn't just be a dream anymore. The conversation continued like this. The mysterious girl didn't reveal much about herself, but David felt an odd connection between them. Perhaps this meeting wasn't a coincidence. She, with her gentleness and listening ear, had helped him open up and start rethinking his life. As David's car neared the destination, Lena thanked him for the ride but refused to give him her exact address. She insisted she would walk the rest of the way as the rain had started to ease. "Thank you so much, David. I'll be fine." David felt a bit uneasy, but he also understood that sometimes we need to let others handle their own problems. "If you're sure about that, then I'll leave. But if you need help, don't hesitate to call me." Lena smiled. "Thank you. I won't forget your kindness." After Lena got out of the car, David watched her figure fade into the rain. He felt lighter than ever, though it had been just a small act. It seemed to have helped him see many things in life differently. Perhaps the little things done with sincerity were more valuable than anything, and maybe this was the first step in helping him find himself again. The next morning, David woke up early, feeling tired but strangely relieved after last night's conversation. He never imagined that a random encounter could ease his loneliness and spark new thoughts in his heart. Before heading to work, he tried to grab a cup of coffee and relax for a moment, but suddenly a loud noise from outside startled him. The whole house trembled lightly, and the sound of a helicopter circling above made David feel confused. He sprang out of his chair, his heart racing with concern. "What's going on?" David wondered, unable to comprehend what was happening. He quickly ran outside, opened the door, and looked up at the sky. A helicopter hovered right above him. He thought it might be some kind of emergency or accident. Just then, there was a knock at the door. David turned around quickly, opening the door to find a man in a black suit standing there, accompanied by a group of others. They looked quite formal, but there was no sign of malice. "Good morning, sir. I am here on behalf of Lena Smith," the man said seriously. David stared at the man in front of him, utterly confused. "Lena Smith? I don't know anyone by that name," David replied, feeling perplexed. The man pulled out a small photo and handed it to David. "This is her," he said. "She wants to meet you." David looked at the photo and immediately recognized the woman in it, Lena, the person he had helped in the rain the previous night. "Oh, I know her now, but I didn't know her name was Lena Smith," David said, slightly surprised. The man nodded and continued, "Yes, she wants to meet you. She's waiting for you." David felt a little overwhelmed, but then he decided to follow the man. He quickly went inside to change clothes and followed them outside, where the helicopter was parked nearby. Lena was sitting inside the helicopter, smiling at him. "Hello, David. I knew we'd meet again," she said, her gaze confident yet gentle. David stood there, stunned, not knowing what to say. All he could manage was, "Lena, I don't know what's going on." Lena chuckled softly, then said, "I know this must be a shock to you, but don't worry. We can talk a bit during this flight." The helicopter took off, and David sat next to Lena, feeling bewildered, but also sensing something magical unfolding. A random encounter in the rainy night had now led him into an unexpected situation. The helicopter hovered in the sky, and David sat silently beside Lena, struggling to believe what was happening. He looked out the window as the scenery below grew smaller and more distant. The sound of the wind whistling through the cabin made the atmosphere feel even more surreal. While Lena sat with calm composure, her eyes bright with confidence, David couldn't help but feel confused. His life, ever since he lost Emily, had completely changed, but today his encounter with Lena felt like an unexpected twist. "Lena, I don't understand. Who are you really?" David asked, his voice tinged with both concern and curiosity. Lena looked at him for a moment, then smiled gently. "David, I don't want to hide anything from you, but I need to tell you a truth. I am Lena Smith, the only daughter of Jonathan Smith, one of the wealthiest people in the financial industry." David heard the name Jonathan Smith and immediately realized that he was one of the famous and powerful figures he had never had the chance to meet. But the truth was, David had no idea that the woman he had helped just the night before was connected to this family. All he remembered was a strange woman, quietly thanking him for helping her in a difficult time. "I know this might surprise you," Lena continued, her eyes sincere, "but I want you to understand that I don't want anyone to treat me because of my name or my family's wealth. I tested your kindness, and you don't know how much it means to me." David didn't say anything, only sitting in silence. The shock hadn't worn off. Everything was happening too suddenly and was too hard to understand. Just one day ago, he was an ordinary man helping a woman in the rain. Today, he was sitting in a helicopter, hearing about her background and things he never could have imagined. "What do you want from me?" David asked, still not fully understanding Lena's motives. "No, David," Lena replied, her eyes showing no signs of irritation or arrogance. "I don't want anything from you. I just want to find someone who truly treats me for who I am, not because of money or fame. And you are the only person I've met in years who has treated me like a normal person." David hesitated, reflecting on Lena's words. His perception of Lena shifted from suspicion to empathy. She wasn't like he had imagined at first. She wasn't someone who lived off her family's wealth. She was a girl searching for sincerity in a world full of lies and calculations. "I don't know what to say," David whispered softly, the surprise and understanding slowly settling into his mind. Lena smiled and then reached toward a small suitcase beside her. She opened it and took out a large envelope, handing it to David. "For your kindness last night, I want to give you this gift. It will help you fulfill the dream you left behind long ago. Don't refuse it, David. This is how I express my gratitude." David opened the envelope and saw a large sum of money inside, so much that he could hardly believe his eyes. It was enough to change his entire life. "No, I can't accept this. I just helped a stranger," David stammered, still unable to process what was happening. "You don't understand, David," Lena said, her gaze determined but also understanding. "This isn't what you need from me, it's the truth. You deserve this because you treated me like a human being, not because of my name or my family." David was silent for a moment, feeling the warmth of Lena's kindness. For the first time in many years, he felt truly seen and appreciated. He was no longer the man who had lost everything, but rather someone who was given a chance to start anew. David accepted the gift, not for the money, but for the kindness Lena had shown him. This gift wasn't just financial, it was the beginning of a new chapter in his life. After the helicopter landed, David and Lena stepped outside, his legs still unsteady from everything that had just happened. He looked at Lena, feeling a mix of confusion and gratitude rising within him. The gift that Lena had just given him was truly unimaginable. It wasn't just money, it was a major turning point in his life. He, a man who had once abandoned his dream, now had the chance to make up for what he had missed. "Lena, I don't know what to say," David said, his voice choked. Lena looked at him and smiled. "David, don't feel awkward. I just wanted to help you, just like you helped me last night. You treated me like a normal person, and that's what I've been looking for." I want you to continue living and pursue your dreams, not for any reason other than your sincerity." David looked at the large envelope in his hands and then back at Lena. "Thank you. I'll never forget this. But I don't know if I have what it takes to fulfill this dream." "You can, David," Lena affirmed, her gaze unwavering. "The important thing is that you must believe in yourself and take things step by step. Remember that your dream isn't about what you missed, but what you can still do in the future, and I believe you can do it." David felt Lena's words as a light shining into his soul. He knew she was right. Sometimes small actions and unexpected opportunities could change a person's life. He looked back at his life, at the years that had passed, and realized that he couldn't let the past hold him back. He needed to move forward, to live fully with the dreams that were still unfulfilled. After this meeting, David's life completely changed. He used the money Lena gave him to open a fashion store. It wasn't as big as he had once dreamed, but at least it was a new beginning. It was a small, simple space, but filled with passion and creative ideas he had always nurtured. On the first day the store opened, it wasn't crowded with customers, but David felt proud of having done what he once thought was impossible. He looked at the clothes displayed on the shelves, the items he had carefully selected, and felt like he had started over. The store wasn't just a place to sell things, it was part of the dream, a part of the life he had always longed for. Lena often visited David's store, but not to check on him or to control things. She came simply to see David doing what he loved, to encourage him and to share stories about life. Their relationship gradually grew into a true friendship, not because of money or fame, but because of mutual sincerity and respect. A year later, David's store had grown. Though it wasn't large, it was enough for him to feel proud of what he had achieved. He began to notice customers coming in to find the unique products he offered, and they praised the quality and creativity of his designs. From a man who once gave up on his dreams, David could now see his dreams becoming a reality. Though it wasn't huge, it was a breakthrough. Lena was still an essential part of his life. She wasn't just the one who helped him financially, she was a great source of inspiration, helping him realize that sometimes big changes in life begin with small actions. As time passed, David never forgot Lena's words. "Don't give up, because your dream is never too far away. You have everything you need to make it happen." Those words were like a flame that kept burning in his heart, helping him persevere and move forward, even when facing difficulties. In the end, David and Lena's story wasn't just about friendship, but also a living proof that small actions and sincere relationships can change a person's life. And sometimes, the help from others becomes the motivation to go further and achieve things we never expected. Although David's store wasn't a massive empire, to him it was a success worth celebrating. Each day, he felt closer to the dream he once thought was left behind. The first customers who visited the store came not only for the quality of the product, but also because of the story behind them. They loved the way David designed each piece of clothing. Every item had its own meaning, a part of his memories, and a part of his love for the work he had poured his heart and soul into. Despite not having the fame of larger brands, David's store gradually established a solid presence in this small town. Customers came not just to shop, but to hear the stories of the clothes David had designed by hand, the details he had spent so much time perfecting. Every time a customer left with a new item, David felt a warmth in his heart. He knew that this was the thing he had been missing for so many years, belief in himself and in the dreams he once thought were impossible. Throughout this time, Lena remained an important part of David's life. Their relationship wasn't just financial support, but a true friendship. Lena visited David's store regularly, not to check or control, but to share in his progress in both work and life. Each time they met, Lena always encouraged David, making him feel that every effort he made was worthwhile. One day, when David's store began to grow rapidly, Lena unexpectedly visited him with important news. She said that her family was planning to expand their business projects and wanted David to join in a larger venture, a chance for him to take his store to the next level. David, I know what you want, and I believe you deserve this opportunity, but I want you to do this for yourself, not for me. I just want to help you have a chance to prove yourself, Lena said, her gaze steady but also full of encouragement. David sat quietly, reflecting on her words. He realized that this wasn't just an opportunity about finances or career, it was a significant step in taking control of his life. In the past, he had abandoned his dreams due to a lack of confidence, but now he had the courage to embrace the new challenge. Thank you, Lena, David said, his voice full of appreciation. I won't refuse this opportunity, but I want to do this my way, on my own terms. I won't rely on anyone to succeed. I will do everything with my own strength. Lena smiled, feeling happy for what David had said. She knew that he had grown a lot since they first met. What surprised her was the change in David. He was no longer the man who was anxious and fearful of challenges, but now he was someone ready to face any difficulty to reach success. David decided to expand his store, opening small branches in surrounding towns. With the funds from the project and the management skills he had learned, his store not only grew rapidly but also gained popularity. This boosted his confidence even more, making him feel that he was on the right track. Success didn't come immediately, but David knew he was on the right path. Every customer who came through the door, every item sold, was a significant step in building his dream. He no longer looked back at the past with regret, instead, he lived fully with what he had. The relationship between David and Lena continued to grow, not just in business but also in life. They became close friends, always supporting each other through challenges. Lena wasn't just someone who helped him financially, she was also the friend who was always ready to share in both the joyful and difficult moments of life. With Lena by his side, David no longer felt lonely. He had found peace within himself, not from money or fame, but from sincere friends and the dreams that he dared to live out. Although David's store still faced many challenges ahead, he was no longer afraid. He had found his own path, and he knew that as long as he persisted, good things would come. As time passed, David's store continued to grow. He not only sold clothes, but also shared his own stories with customers, making them feel connected and fond of the products he created. The store was small, but its warmth and spirit touched the hearts of many. Regular customers became friends, frequently returning to find new items and also to hear about David's journey. But there was something special. Despite the store's success, David never forgot the difficult days before. He knew that every success today started with small actions, from the help of a stranger in the rain to the kindness and sincerity he had shown Lena. He would always remember her words when she gave him the gift. Never forget that it's the small actions, the sincere relationships that can change a person's life. That was the lesson David had learned throughout his journey. In this ever-changing world, we sometimes forget that small but sincere actions have immense power. A smile, a kind word, or a simple gesture of help can be a guiding light in someone's life. And sometimes those actions are the key that opens up amazing opportunities we never expected. David was no longer the lonely man from his past, living a foggy life. He had found peace in his work and in the relationships he had built. He knew that what he had achieved wasn't only from his abilities, but also from always treating others well, without calculating or expecting anything in return. Just by helping others with a sincere heart, life would reward you with wonderful things you couldn't even imagine. Remembering Lena's words, "You gave me what I was looking for, sincerity, help from the heart, you deserve everything in return," David felt empowered each time he reflected on them. He no longer just lived for himself, but for those around him, spreading love and kindness. One morning, as David was cleaning the store, he saw a group of regular customers walking in. They greeted him and started picking out items, and one of them looked at David and said, "Thank you for these items. They're not just beautiful, but they also have meaning. Every time I shop here, I feel like I'm bringing a part of the story into my life." David smiled, not saying much, but feeling warm inside. He understood that life wasn't always easy, but with kindness and perseverance, any difficulty could be overcome. He knew he had found the most important thing in life, not money or fame, but compassion and genuine relationships. That was what he wanted to share with everyone. Sometimes the simplest things are the most meaningful. With these thoughts, David continued his work, always ready to help others, never forgetting the lessons he had learned. He had learned that every action, no matter how small, could change someone's life, and that sincerity was what could bring you greater results than anything else in life.